Perfect. Okay, it's 10:02. We're going to get started. I'm sure Seth will join us shortly. If everybody could just maybe mute themselves until it's your time to talk, or if you have a question, that would be great. We'll jump right in. I'm going to let Duke lead the discussion this morning because he has to leave us in about 25 minutes. So, Duke, good morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone stays safe through the snowstorm, but good to see everyone. I think the biggest update is the announcement by Dr. Adley to go remote effective Friday, which is normally a half day anyhow. And the remote will then be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, with a goal of going back to the current way we are learning July 4th, pending any changes or updates over the holiday. You know, I reached out, I've spoken to everyone on the board over last weekend. Jamie and I touched base, and Dr. Adley and I spent a lot of time together. So I think as we march into the holidays and people want to spend time together, there are people that are traveling. Our remote learning number ticked up considerably over the last 2 weeks with people doing their own self-quarantining. The feedback around that has all been positive in terms of how it's working. So as we also deal with a lot of staff challenges as we go into the holidays, you know, I think Alan's overall direction, you know, makes sense with trying to give some people some time to prepare for the holidays, and also having a schedule of what the next week and a half looks like, rather than a, you know, late night, early morning school closure because of staffing. So that was kind of the plan, to get that calendar out, get people prepared. I know an email went out late yesterday around IT support and making sure everyone knows where to go to, or what the support is around connecting. I think he will I spoke to him this morning briefly, make a decision shortly about tomorrow from a weather standpoint, and it will most likely be a remote learning day. We'll have to monitor, along with working with Jamie and the town, on power outages that may change whether it's a remote learning day or not. So that's kind of the update on where we're headed from a remote learning. Also, you know, some conversations, and that'll continue over the course of the next week or so, as to how does a safe reopening look like. Jamie and I had touched base on that over the weekend in terms of, you know, people being home, people being with more people, college kids being home. So what does a safe reopening look like? Most districts have gone remote. Most districts around us are looking at extending remote into the first week or two of January. So we'll continue to look at that and also work in line with our great health team. I should also note that the health team was part of Alan's decision about going remote, while from a scientific number standpoint, it didn't align, but they were supportive of the overall direction he was trying to go in as we approach the holidays. Real quick, we're at 14 cases and 168 quarantined. Cumulative, we've had 79 cases and 1,035 quarantined. And the only other update is, I think since we all last met, I did have Chairman Zagrodzky to the last Board of Ed meeting. He came along with Vice Chair Jim Palin, just kind of to start the conversation, hear from John. He always gives a good outlook, does provide some guidance. And I thought it was a good way to continue to build the communication between boards and how we want to move this forward as we move quickly into the budget season, which will have its challenges, but as long as we keep the dialogue and the communication open. So I thought it was, you know, time we had him in to just kind of kick it off and hear from their side. I spoke with Jack Davis about it also. Clara and I did a lot of phone tag back and forth together, but kind of one of the ways I want to kind of increase communication and kind of working across boards. So I'll pause there for any questions or updates. And other than that, I wish you all happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much, Duke. Does anyone have questions for Duke this morning?
Not really. I think you
No,
said, Duke, you said July 4th. I think you meant January 4th.
I'll stick with July 4th.
That's fine.
That way we'll all. Thank you, Steve. Yes, January 4th is back to school.
That's good. We'll start back with some fireworks. How about that on July 4th?
We got lots
Yeah,
of those.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Duke.
Yeah, I really want to say thank you publicly to you for the board outreach. I think the communication is fantastic, and really appreciate that. Helps us move things forward as we should.
Great. Thanks, Jamie.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to Steve. Good morning.
Good morning. What do I have? A couple, three things. There's my own notes. BMW is in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission right now. Actually, no, not in front of Planning and Zoning. They're in front of the Architecture Review Board. They've had a couple of meetings. We did some zoning adjustments for them about maybe 6 months or a year ago. Actually, it's longer than that. As per most car dealerships platforms, you have to get your properties renovated every 10 or 15 years. So last time we looked at was 15 years ago. So that's something that ARB is looking at now, and it'll come to P&Z after that. Our next P&Z meetings are January 5th and January 12th. Those are going to start at 7:30 p.m. As I said once before, that's a new start time for us. And we're going to try to end them at 10 o'clock. The 7-Eleven application, I think, has a meeting with the Zoning Board of Appeals tonight. They still have to go through Zoning Board of Appeals for a couple items. One's got to do with gas stations in towns as permissible code or state statute. And the other one is regards to the sign. Our next P&Z hearing on 7-Eleven is going to be January 26th at 7:30 in, I guess virtual, actually. You can't really say in town hall yet these days. We did have a special meeting for the 7-Eleven application on, I think it was January 9th, which was solely dedicated basically to public comments. We did receive some good public comments. The neighbors have done a lot of research and whatnot and submitted some documents for the file. What do I have next? We talked about that one. Then what else we have is I'm not sure what the current status is. And hopefully, Jamie, you can touch on this if you can with regards to the tents and how P&Z, how Public Works is going to shovel snow around the tents in the municipal parking lots. And that's one thing that we did worry about when we moved this forward to follow up with state timelines. But I've not really been in the loop on that. Hopefully you can touch on that. We do have the Affordable Housing Subcommittee looking at some documents and so reading some documents. We've not issued a report on that one yet. We're still looking at stuff internally. I can tell you, and Jamie, I think hopefully you can touch on this too, is there was relative to affordable housing and changes in zoning codes that may or may not happen on the state statute level. There's been some WestCog meetings, which I think Jamie is the vice chairman or has a senior leadership position in that. There's also, and I apologize, but the other one I think is either CCM or CMM. CCM. They had some meetings on that. I do get invited to most of those meetings. I make some of them. I don't make other than them. I think Jamie goes to some of them too. And Jeremy also, I usually get him invited. There's another meeting with regards to some of these bills happening on Friday at 9:30 in the morning in Greenwich. It's being hosted by Greenwich. And the P&Z chair from Greenwich is going to be there, and the P&Z chair from Westport is going to be there. And I think they also invited someone from Hearst Media to be there too. But if you don't mind, Jamie, if you could elaborate on that more as you know about it, that'd be great. What else? Yeah, that's what we just did. The staff and the commission members are really continuing monitoring that stuff. Then the only other thing that we did is we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago to have, we're going to issue some kind of RFQ for additional legal services for the P&Z Commission. I think Kate Bush, I think Jeremy reached out to Kate to follow something with regards to what you guys did when you did audit services for a template for something like that. The commission just wants to look at our legal counsel if we're getting the best services. Everyone was kind of sort of on board with that it gets done on the on other levels with regards to auditing and whatnot. So we're going to jump into that in January. I think that's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I'll just take a moment to talk. You asked about snow plowing. Obviously, our DPW is well aware of the tents that have been set up to facilitate shopping and dining. So I have no worries that they won't be able to address plowing safely to allow those activities to continue. I don't know if you need any more information than that, but I'm personally extremely pleased that the Planning and Zoning Commission has allowed the continuation of the utilization of tents for shopping and dining. You know, our local businesses are really struggling, and we need to help them out. We have not seen COVID spread through people going to restaurants or shopping in our downtown. So the science doesn't bear out that we should be closing those. So we're just gonna forge ahead and hopefully our businesses can survive this winter. And I'll address the housing in my report, and I'm sure Terry will talk about it as well. So any other questions for Steve? No, if not, okay, we'll turn to Terry. I don't see Seth yet, so we'll turn to Terry.
All right, thank you. Quick update. Session starts January 6th. Bill submits will be right after that. So please, anybody watching this, reach out to me with any ideas you have for legislation. A couple of initiatives that our caucus has sponsored is the State Unemployment Trust Fund to extend the interest-free period from the federal loans, because right now people are unaware that employers are paying this unemployment tax and it's hitting them at a very difficult time. So I think that's a no-brainer. And we have reached out to the federal delegation, and we did hear back from Senator Blumenthal that he supports this idea. So that's good in that area. The restaurants deeply struggles, big struggles with what they're trying to do, stay afloat. I mean, I feel safe practicing the social distancing. I think the restaurants are taking extraordinary measures, and they're safe measures to stay open. So I think those who do feel safe, I would encourage you to continue to support the restaurants as you are able to. The budget is going to be, we're coming up on a budget year. And Mark Boughton is the new Department of Revenue well, hasn't been confirmed, but it's been announced. It will be confirmed once the legislature starts in January. And he's been confirmed as, nominated to be the DRS commissioner. So that will be, I think he'll be terrific in that role. He understands, having run a town with a large Democrat majority, he understands how to balance a budget, how to be fiscally responsible. So I think that's a bright spot that we have to look forward to. Any questions? Yes, Steve.
Terry, when does the calendar come out for this legislative? I know you said it opens on the 6th, but when do you know what's on the calendar? How does that work? I mean, I'm just trying to get
That's a good question. Right. So the bill submittals, it's a really good question. I mean, you have to stay, the calendar is, the calendar is what happens in the House and the Senate, so that's further down the road. But the bill proposals, when the public hearings are, I certainly will be letting you know when the public hearings are for the zoning changes, state control, local zoning, which Jamie will cover, which is why I didn't cover it. The big issues, I always send out e-blasts. So I do encourage, if you're not on my email list, please sign up for my email blast. The list does not get sold to anyone. And I do keep relevant information in there and important information for people to know. So that's really how you know and this CCM and the different legislative groups Council of Small Towns is very, very good at keeping people apprised of what public hearings are coming up. A little bit frustrating is we don't have much notice on when public hearings are scheduled. We get the notice, everyone gets the notice maybe a week ahead. So you have to anticipate and have your public testimony ready to go when the public hearing dates have been announced. And I understand that most of the public hearings this session will be done by Zoom.
Terry, do you know when the
I'm not sure yet on the votes. Yes, it's starting. Well, we can start drafting things now, but they get submitted right after the start of the session, January 6th.
And is there a cutoff for submission?
Yes, there is a cutoff, and I will get that date. It is typically the end of January in the long session.
With a couple of follow questions with regards to,
yes,
and I don't think I'm really exaggerating, but I'll just tell it how I know it. Suppose that there's like 200 bills in the hopper, right? And of the 200, X number get put into this first session. How do you know if the bill, if quote unquote my bill makes it into that session, and then if there's 50 in the session, you bat first, you bat last? And then the other follow-up of this was, I'm told Senator Anwar is not the chairman of that commission anymore.
right.
Does that mean that he's handed off what he was thinking to somebody else?
No, the state control local zoning will still have a public hearing.
Good.
There's definite big push for that. And I'm not quite sure what the underpinnings of his not being chair again, what was involved in that, I don't know. But to your question on the bill submittal, there are actually about 4,000 bill ideas will be submitted. And they go, the first process is the draft idea will go to the committee chairs and the ranking members of all 28 committees. And we hold screening meetings in those. And I was ranking on human services for 3 sessions. So you meet with the committee leadership and you decide which bills are duplicative. You decide which bills don't have a chance or any chance of passing, and those are tossed out. So you cull that down. Then it goes to the committee process where the bills that have been decided to have public hearings are heard by the public testimony accepted. Then the committee votes. So that's another time when sometimes bills will not be called. I would say 1/3 of bills aren't called, or maybe 1/4 of bills are not called finally for a vote. And then it gets placed on the House or Senate calendar, if it's lucky. It's a long process. And out of that 4,000 bill submittals, maybe 400 will be voted upon on the House and the Senate floor.
So in terms of batting order, do you know if a particular bill is going to be high in the batting order or low in the batting order? I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, no, it's
just lead times.
Well, what do you mean by lead time?
If we're going to submit something for public testimony, it's 1 week to do it. When the notice comes out, I'd rather have.
Yes, that's why I suggested doing it now. You know what because you can talk about concepts.
Right.
I know the devil's in the details, but the overarching concepts, I think, is what most of us will be addressing in some of these big issue legislative ideas that are coming forward.
Okay.
My experience over the last couple of years is you'll get a notice on a Friday afternoon that there's a public hearing on Monday for the issue that you care about. So definitely prepare, kind of an issues-based testimony. You can begin to do that now. I think we know what some of the big concepts are, as Terry mentioned.
Okay.
And Terry, you asked for some feedback about bills. My feedback is simple and maybe theoretical. Do no harm this session. Do no harm. The people of Connecticut, the people of Darien, our businesses are hurting. This is not the time to be instituting new legislation, sweeping policy changes of any sort. And the less bills, the better, as far as I'm concerned, unless they really advance a better quality of living for the people of Connecticut from a physical health and fiscal perspective.
100% agree. Well said.
Okay, I see that.
Because there are, I know, ideas, but just briefly, a couple of other ideas that are on the table for this coming session are another statewide property tax. Looking at property tax reform, and those are huge ideas. And this is not the time to be doing things like that when our state is still struggling. We still remain the only state not to regain all the jobs lost in the 2008 recession. And Hartford, Connecticut, and there was a survey that came out yesterday. Hartford, Connecticut lost more population than any other city in the country. And Austin, Texas gained more population than any other city in the country. Tampa, Austin, Dallas, Charlotte, Charleston were all big gainers, and San Francisco, the high tax states, were all losers in population and the survey. The stats come from April 2020 through November 2020. So it's related, pandemic related largely, but it's also people have had enough. And we have to respect that. We have to respect do no harm. Well said. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. I see that moderator Seth Morton has joined us. Good morning, Seth.
Yes, a pleasure indeed. I had a little time in a different GOTA meeting, but never mind. It helps when you have the address correct. Does some wonderful things. But Karen saved me, so many thanks to her. We had State of the Town, and we went a little long, but mostly we had some business we had to do, which is unusual, but we had to do it, and so that kind of extended the thing. But great presentations by all. Nice going. That's it, David. Yeah, you get your feet wet, get into it. That's fun. And I think if you listen to all of it, you really did get a pretty good picture of where we are. And we'll see if we can. We've managed to get development people from Norwalk and Stamford to come and talk to us. So we get kind of like the surrounding people. We'll see if that works or not. And other than that, January looks quiet for the RTM. There's some charter revision things that the Board of Selectmen's working on, and so I don't know what the timing is on those, but we could do those, and we have an addition to the 5 Mile River Commission. So those are kind of like two sort of what I would call routine items for the RTM. No other things at the moment are showing up there. So we'll see here as time goes by if there are any other items that come up, what the timing will be. But great presentations and a real wonderful view of where the town is in the State of the Town meeting. I am pleased that we get very good attendance in the Zoom meeting. That's I guess if you don't have to put on your coat and get in your car and drive over to Town Hall, it's a plus. So we get a lot of attendance, which is great.
Great, and thank you, Seth. We always appreciate the opportunity to update the public and the RTM with the state of the town. Our speeches are published online, so if anybody missed it, you could probably find it in the Darien Times or on the Town of Darien website. Does anybody have any questions for Seth? Steve?
Yeah, Stephen.
You said you're gonna have development people from Norwalk and Stanford come. Is that meeting date set yet? I'd love to attend and
That
either
would be a
listen or participate.
meeting if the rules committee agrees and, you know, and they're available.
So
We
there's
try
no,
to follow right on. You have a state of the town, and then if, you know, we can bring some of the folks in from Norwalk and Stanford, it gives, I think, our neighbors, and they are cities, so you get a little different viewpoint of what it's, you know, where we sit in between them and what they're doing.
because professionally, I work on a lot of the new developments in both of those cities.
Ah,
So all the new construction, I've worked on it or someone else that I know have worked on it. So if I would love to go to one of those meetings if it happens. Thank you.
They're always very informative. Thank you for organizing that, Seth. Any other questions for Seth? I want to make sure that we can, before I give my report and before we lose Duke, since John has sent me a note that he's going to miss the meeting, his morning meeting's running over. I want to make sure that we get to our OPC meeting minutes of September 16th and September 18th. You should have received those from Linda. And when you're ready, I will entertain a motion to approve the OPC meeting minutes for September 16th.
I will make a motion.
Thank you, Duke. Seconded by Seth. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Great, and then we have meeting minutes for November 18th. I'll entertain a motion.
so moved.
Motion.
Seth moves, Duke seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Great, thank you. And one other administrative item before Duke has to leave. Linda also sent you a copy of the proposed OPC 2021 meeting dates. We plugged some in to be in person, but we're going to be virtual until you get notice that it's safe to return to in person. So we're looking at 9 a.m. on Thursdays. We've had a lot of back and forth and everybody's super busy. This was the time when the most people could attend. So hopefully we can all make that work in our schedules. I find it incredibly beneficial, as does the community, to have all of our town leaders together for these monthly gatherings. So if you have a real struggle with Thursdays at 9 a.m., give Linda a call later on today, and we can talk about it further. I'm not sure that we have to vote on this. Kate, do we have to vote on this schedule?
Yes, you actually should, because we have to submit it to the town clerk.
Okay, so does anyone have any concerns about Thursdays at 9 a.m. virtually for the foreseeable future, and then in person? Okay, if there are no challenges this morning, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the OPC 2021 meeting dates.
Motion. Second.
Okay, I think I saw Steve Mulvaney and then a second by Duke. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And now I will give a brief update. And Duke, just let me know when you have to bow out. Storm Gale is on the way.
I'm going to bow out. Thank you. Be safe,
Okay.
everyone.
Thanks a lot, Duke. You too. Storm Gale is going to bring to us, beginning between 4 and 7 p.m. this evening, snow, a mix of snow and sleet, back to snow, and we're going to get about a foot of snow through this event. Coastal communities are going to be hit the hardest. We're going to have wind gusts of up to 40 miles an hour, so the possibility of power outages is real. Make sure that you're prepared. Normal snow, winter snow preparations. You've got food in the house. You've got your well-fueled, your vehicles. charge your communication devices in the event that we lose power. There's information on the town website about how you can report power outages and outages of your internet service. So please keep that information handy. We are anticipating, but won't make the decision until early morning tomorrow, that it might be difficult to open town hall. But we'll post messages on the website about that if we close for tomorrow. If town hall closes for tomorrow, the transfer station recycling center will also be closed. So you can ask me if you have any questions about storm prep. DPW is the best. They know how to do snow. They're all ready. We've had our first emergency operations committee meeting yesterday. We're going to have another one pre-storm later on today. So the team is ready to go. Regarding COVID, a couple of things to share. In aggregate, we've had 554 cases since the beginning of the pandemic in March. Interestingly, those cases are from 394 households. So you can see that there is inter-household spread, as you would likely imagine. A little bit of good news about the cases in Darien. I looked at these numbers this morning. From March to the end of June, we had 34 cases in the elderly population, ages 70 and over. Since July 1st to present, we've had 17. So the demographics is really shifting to a younger population. We're seeing a lot of sort of parent-child household transmission going on right now. As I mentioned, what we're not seeing is we're not seeing transmission in restaurants, through shopping, and we know this by the contact tracing that's been being done in our community. And with the pause on team sports, I think that's helping as well. Testing continues here in town and around the state. Our testing provider, Everpoint Health, set up in the Leroy West parking lot. They will likely be challenged to be offering testing tomorrow. I don't think they're going to be able to be open. Clearing that parking lot is a big time-consuming job, but they'll resume as soon as they can, either later in the day, tomorrow, or on Friday. Many people have asked me why testing isn't free in Darien, and I want to be clear about this. The town of Darien is considered a high opportunity community, and you'll hear that phrase used a lot through the coming legislative session as it relates to some of these housing and zoning proposals as well, which means the town of Darien does not get subsidized government support for services like COVID testing. However, if you are in need of a test and cannot afford the $200 or to be out of pocket the $200 until your insurance determines if you can be reimbursed, there are testing sites across the state that do provide free testing or testing that they submit to your insurance providers. Community health centers provides testing that doesn't require out-of-pocket funding by you, and the closest community health center testing site is in Stamford. Those sites can be found at 211ct.org, also on the Town of Darien website. We have formed, through the Department of Public Health locally, a vaccine committee. I'm sure everybody's heard the exciting news that vaccines have arrived in the state of Connecticut. They've arrived at several hospitals, which is where the distribution will be for the foreseeable future, limited only to frontline healthcare workers at the present. Connecticut received 31,200 vaccines, which means 15,100 people can be vaccinated with that supply. We certainly increase more supply coming into the state, not only from Pfizer, who made the first deliveries, but from Moderna, whose vaccine was just approved, I believe, yesterday by the federal government. More people will be eligible for vaccines as we move through the winter. We will likely see general population vaccine availability by the summer of 2021. It's going to be tightly controlled by the state government, and they have a vaccine advisory committee at the state level that is determining the distribution channels. I imagine that too will loosen up as more supply comes into the state. So what I recommend is that folks be in touch with their primary care physicians about vaccines. Right now, they don't have any information. Folks are telling me they've called their doctors. Their doctors are not taking wait lists for people to be vaccinated, but the local vaccine committee, which includes our healthcare advisors to both the school district and the town, local pharmacies and other medical professionals, our local health director, our emergency management director, and myself. Our objective will be to be providing timely information to the community about the vaccine rollout. And I do want to mention that our testing provider, Everpoint, is doing all that they can to also become a vaccine provider. So we will certainly keep you updated. It would be wonderful to be able to transition that service from testing to vaccine distribution. Human Service Department has been really busy. A different but very successful rollout of our holiday support program for our families in need through gift cards. They are still accepting gift cards for gas and food and from big box stores like Target and Walmart. If you're in the giving mood and you want to give back to the community, you can purchase gift cards and either mail them or drop them off at Town Hall. They will go to families in need. 54 seniors at least continue to be served by our Human Service Department, and 50 seniors receive lunches every day through a drive-through lunch program. Today is the traditional Holiday of Lights program done in drive-through fashion. So I'm really excited to see how that works. Beth Paris has been amazing and her staff in putting together virtual programming for our seniors. She does robocalls to seniors every Friday. They do party line phone calls, group phone calls for people that don't have the ability to access a computer. And when they can start opening up, they're gonna have this really interesting and great program called Boomers to Zoomers, teaching our seniors how to get online so that they can stay connected and see people face to face, even if it's by computer. So my hat's off to Beth and her staff for the amazing job she's done to keep the seniors connected. Many of them are feeling a tremendous sense of isolation, and Beth is doing everything she can to help with that. Because people are struggling through the pandemic, and especially this holiday season, the Human Service Department and the Community Fund of Darien have partnered and have taken my suggestion to send out a postcard to all of the families in Darien, providing resources to them for where they can get help if they need help with suicide prevention, domestic violence, and any other mental health challenges they might be experiencing right now. We don't want you to suffer alone or in silence. We're here to help you, and look for that postcard or give us a call or call 211ct.org to be connected immediately to the help that you might need. Regarding the housing agenda, housing and zoning agenda that Steve was asking about earlier, conversations have been ongoing since the summer of 2020. By organizations called desegregateconnecticut.org, in partnership with Senator Anwar, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, and all of the COGs, including ours, Western Connecticut Council of Governments, are all working on legislative agendas and responses to the zoning and housing proposals that are coming. As Terry mentioned, moving us towards state control of local zoning. And Terry and I will be putting on a program in January to outline the specifics of some of these housing agenda proposals. We've done so already, but to give you some highlights, the proposals include allowing as of right, so that's in Steve's world, that means without public hearings, increase in housing density in areas that surround transit hubs and commercial centers. So our Norotan Heights train station, our Darien train station, Darien's actually impacted by 6 train stations, interestingly enough, and our various commercial corridors. There's some debate if it also includes bus stops, which would be very interesting. And in January, we'll share some maps of how those proposals are going to impact the town of Darien. From what we can see to date, about 35% in total of the town of Darien would be impacted. Specifically, what that may mean if it passes is that if you live in a single family zone in these areas around transit or commercial corridors, you will have the ability as of right to develop what they call gentle density or missing middle housing in your zone to allow for 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 family homes within that zone. And the idea specifically is that by having smaller housing units, more dense housing units in areas around transit and commercial and retail centers, you're giving more opportunity for people with limited means to be able to live in high opportunity communities like the town of Darien. So we want to make sure that our objective is to educate the Darien public about the proposals coming forward so that you can decide if these make sense for us. And certainly I hope our Planning and Zoning Commission will be taking a lead role in, with their planning hats on to help us understand if these policies are good and positive for the future of our town. That's really it for me. There's so much more I could talk about, but I certainly will entertain any of my colleagues' questions this morning.
I might add just a little bit on the COVID testing. My wife Linda and I found ourselves in a situation where she was quarantined by the Norwalk Public School System because she had the misfortune to be in the same room with a teacher who came down with COVID-19. So we wanted to search out very quickly a place where we could get tested just to see, where we are. And so I contacted the Stanford Hospital, and they gave us 6 names in Stanford of places that were doing testing, taking insurance. We went to one of them, and we had results within 24 hours. So there is that. You're right, Jamie, in the sense that there is a lot of depth there as far as getting testing done if you want to get it done and you want insurance taken. It worked very well for Linda and myself, and we were negative, thankfully.
Perfect. Very good to know. Thank you, Seth. Any other questions for me this morning? Okay, then I think we've taken care of all of our traditional business and our minutes and our schedule. So with that, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I want to wish everyone on this call and everyone watching this meeting a peaceful and healthy holiday season, and cheers to a much better 2021. Looking forward with a lot of hope and positivity. So thank you all very much. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Steve moves. Oh, did you have a question, Steve?
No, I was just motioning to.
Great. Steve moves. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Seth. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.